rotten in the state of Tasmania by your correspondent in paradise, Viking Warrior. Now, before I go on and on, just a small clarification. I am called Viking Warrior, not because I'm a worried Viking, but because I worry Vikings. Some people worry sheep, but I worry Vikings. Now that we've got that cleared up, it's back to the script. First item on the agenda is to say g'day to the Palawakani, or First Peoples, from Tullampanga to Laiwini to Kunyani and all points beyond. Next is the government scorecard. Well, apart from moving ahead with the project to make Tasmania the renewable energy battery of Australia, that's all the pluses I can find. And even then, it is not matched by any complementary protections for old growth forests. Sure, they're establishing plantations, i.e. growing trees to soak up the carbon, but monocultures don't quite cut it in the evolutionary stakes. Even from the other perspective of conservative credentials, Mr. Porridge Man's crew cannot be said to be vociferously attacking political correctness in any of its more ridiculous forms. Simpering toadying to any and all feminist demands, as if these baby killers have all the dirt on them, would seem, instead, to be the order of the day. To get to the point then, a government that gives extra and undeserved resources to its police while starving fire, SES and especially ambulance and health is a government that is controlling and abusive. Make no mistake, they do not give a toss about your welfare. All they care about is keeping you under control, all of the time and everywhere. If you are a state public servant and you are watching this video, even from the privacy of your own home, then you will probably get the same. The culture of the redcoats has transmogrified into the more politically correct, but equally offensive, culture of the glass jaw. Even the local councils are in on the act. The Masters of the Universe Act, that is. Sorrell recently unilaterally decided to decrease a 80 speed limit to a 60 speed limit in the Dodgers Ferry area, except that they only consulted, or were consulted by, Tasmania Police, and not the relevant Transport Department. All of the extra fines and subsequent promotions had to be returned because they were, wait for it, illegal. Similarly, if you would like to check just how much your government does care for you, just ask a homeless person who's been moved on from their camping ground yet again by this police local government interface, or should we say police local government two-faced. Maybe even you could ask some harmless disabled person who has been vilified and defamed by all the Facebook fuckers on the Taspol inspired vigilante channel. Just how they feel about it all. Just how is their morally superior warm inner glow developing, and just how well did their subsequent Equal Opportunity Tasmania complaint go when the local shop refused to serve them, given that equal opportunity in Tasmania is only for women, especially tertiary educated women, and one token man in a wheelchair because he's no longer a threat to us. Of course. But wait, I hear you say, we gave the homeless people a whole suburb in Huntingfield. Not to mention the free set of steak knives and the do not send any money because we will bill you and bill you and bill you and, well, it was 5% of proposed subdivision of, say, 400 houses, which equals 20 houses divided by 2,000 homeless people, which equals 100 homeless peoples in each house, Hong Kong style. And even that is still hypothetical because the locals do not want these deplorables in their suburb, decreasing their house values and otherwise offending their finely tuned sensibilities Federal Senator Lambchops and Proxy Premier Doohickey did try, it must be said, amidst all the grandstanding, checking our hair in the mirror antics, to help the homeless and heal the sick. But because they were not holding their mouths just right, were fobbed off with the usual, don't call us, we'll call you routine. But wait, I hear you say again, we have a new plan to fix the health system. We're going to cut 50 million from it to make it even more efficient. And this load of old cobblers was brought to you by the people who would mock Donald J. Trump. But wait, I hear you say, yet again, we are employing 120 more police officers and giving them more powers and new toys to play with. Yes, which is exactly why Tasmanian ambulances are driving around with no brakes, driven by the patient's relations, only to be ramped up at the hospital ad nauseum ad infinitum. But our officers are having so much fun with their new toys and their new superhero special powers. Look, they can now lock down entire suburbs, just like martial law. And if the people don't come out to get locked down, we can send the drones in to peer through their windows and stalk them in their showers. Whoopee wackaroonies. But wait, there's more. Now we can download all the data on someone's mobile device, just whenever we please. No more outdated ideas about personal freedom or personal privacy. Blech. Come and meet one of our new recruits, Special Constable Super Stalker McWackery. Wait, come back, I haven't finished yet. Ho-hum, you see what we're up against here. And for you people hiding at home behind a big sign saying, I've got nothing to hide, you are exactly the problem. You should have that one very special thing to hide. It's called privacy. Talk about a bunch of loonies being governed by an even bigger bunch of monster raving loonies. Well, let's just call time out from this rusty frolicking for a moment and ask if there is another reason for all of this inequity and people not getting into hospital when they want to. Are there any other reasons why Tasmanians are being left out in the cold? Well, yes, there are two things. One from the left and one from the right. The old ideological one too, if you like. One, all the migrants having to grow our economy because our women are too busy murdering their own babies, while new infrastructure fails to keep up, is of course the left jab. While two, our fearless leader, Mr. Porridge Man, has invited all of his rugby union mates down from Sydney. You'll remember another previous dear leader, Mr. Baby Killer Bacon, bringing all of his left-wing union mates down to live in Upper West Hobart and Battery Point. Anyway, the old boy rugby union mates have all come down and doubled the rents they charge on their investment properties. Oh boy. Causing all of the ruckus down in peaceful old Huntingfield by gum. All of which is, you will know by now, the teeth clenching upper right cut. Trouble is that whereas Mr. Porridge Man's father had all of the contacts from all walks of life, his son's rather grueling contact list is, I'm afraid, straight out of high society meets Brunhilde the Fatberg Muncher. Well, all of this piss and wind is giving me a headache. So let's go back down the bush for a while. Our national parks are just now a resource to be exploited. Not just by bushwalkers, but by everybody, sir. With that wooden spooner pantomime infrastructure horse still stuck in the septic tank at Honeymoon Bay. Phew. Well, you do know what they say. You can call someplace paradise and you're kissing it goodbye. Better it was when Tasmania was undiscovered. Just ask any of the first Tasmanians. Back in the day, you could do or say just about whatever you liked without some jumped up little mainlander having to be put back in its box. But we all cannot live with our heads shoved down a septic tank like poor old pantomime infrastructure horse. Now can we? Can we? Back to the big picture then. When the national parks burn, with our ever-increasingly climate change summers, the fire brigade runs away and blames the National Parks and Wildlife Service for the problem. Meanwhile, back at the fire station, these fearless athletes can be heard from the other side of the hedge saying, "Let the national parks burn. We only save people and infrastructure." Yet, when people more experienced in the real world, the natural world that is, offer their help in saving the national parks, they are immediately dismissed as armchair warriors who couldn't possibly do a better job than us here professionals. Please remember, folks, these so-called professionals have recently also been invested with special powers and can break down people's fences and into their homes just whenever it so suits them. So just watch out that you too do not, at worst, get stuck down a septic tank with pantomime infrastructure horse, or at best, get sent back to your lockdown, road-infested, smart TV regulated suburbs to cower at home forever. Of course, if you start getting cabin fever, you can always avail yourself of some of that there psychological help from the latest batch of man-hating feminist psychopaths who can and will inform you that all men are bastards and criminals and should be locked up. And anyway, we have these here algae rhythms and can predict what you are going to do before you even know it. So just don't get smart with us, Sonny Jim. Besides, you should have got a job in the trades and let us here ladies to run the joint with our special powers and algae rhythms, and we might just come up with a new method of contraception called algae rhythm method, whereby we can tell just by looking at you that you're a sex-starved maniac, and we can walk on the other side of the road with our noses in the air, if you don't mind. So, what to do with this dreamtime turned nightmare of creepy drones, Facebook fuckers, pantomime infrastructure horses, algae rhythms, and such? Well, you could bend over and kiss your ass goodbye. You could go and live like a hermit in the forest, if you can find one, that is. Or you could keep your sense of humour, because we sure as hell don't want it. Give up all your fossil fuels, go back to hemp and cannabis, just like before the age of the oil barons. Repopulate the planet with broadleaf evergreen trees and hope for the best. That's Viking Warrior signing off.